All right, welcome back, and we are recapping strong winds, microbursts, tornadoes, all in the area last night. And certainly, I guess looking at it from years of experience, we get to see what these storms are doing when they're moving in from Texas, and then they reach Louisiana. So we're sort of getting a pattern. And we could see these storms yesterday as a little southeast of Houston. They were spinning off and creating funnel clouds and tornadoes. Sometimes these patterns continue, but we've been so lucky in this area as to the spin-offs have always been a little bit north of us recently. You remember the two in New Orleans. Of course, that's a little north of us here. But yesterday, I'm sure everybody was a little concerned when their cell phones were going off and they were hearing the warnings. And just as this front was coming through, I'm sitting there talking to my mom. I was concerned about her. I was at her house. And I said, Mom, I think we're about to be in the clear. But then I saw that little hook. And I saw the green and the reds developing right north of Houma and in the Bayou Cane area, in the Ellendale area. Now, from all indications, it didn't touch down at that point, but there was a tornado above everybody's subdivision. Then it touched down. We're rolling some B-roll right now because Jason Serenier went out and did a great job of getting some B-roll for us and capturing where this touched down in the Bayou Blue area. And in parts of Terrebonne and parts of Lafourche, people had wind damage. You heard the sheriff in the last segment talk about no confirmation yet if this was a microburst or a tornado, but certainly when you're on the ground and you're in these homes and you hear that wind howling and you feel that pressure drop, which you're going to hear one of the witnesses talk about, it gets a little harrowing at some points. Let's listen to Troy Nakan. You know Troy, he was a longtime police officer here at the Houma Police Department. Let's listen in as Troy was there and talks about what he saw and heard.
Well, I was actually in bed getting ready to go to bed, and I started hearing some wind blowing real hard. So my wife hollered at me to come downstairs. There was a tornado. As I was running down the stairs, I turned around and I watched the windows blow out of my house. And my dogs and I and the wife went in the bathroom. We stayed there maybe 30 seconds and it was over with. And we came outside and we found this. My Class A motorhome, as you can see, is flipped over. Part of my roof was pulled off of the house. All my porch is destroyed. And it's devastating. The guy made up my gutters yesterday and was going to put them on Thursday. It was the last part that needed to be repaired on my house from the storm. I'd like to thank my councilman, Jim Wendell. He was the first one to show up at my house to help out. And then the Bayou Blue Fire Department showed up, Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office. They all did a tremendous job, and I want to thank them tremendously for it.
All right, so what we have here is we have a former police officer who's a witness. He said tornado. And so what I've learned over the years, you don't question the witnesses because they're there. They see it, they're on the ground level. So when Troy says tornado, I say tornado because he's right there. So we can speculate and other people can come in, but boots on the ground. That's how you confirm whether a tornado has touched down. And the key here is we were so fortunate to have this roar through at 50 miles per hour because, God, it was here and gone. You heard him say about 30 seconds later, gone. So Benson Toops was also in that neighborhood, and Jason caught up with Benson. Let's listen in.
It didn't really sound that loud. I mostly felt the pressure change. It felt like pressure changed around me, and I looked out the window. I mean, I saw everything getting blown down, and so I ran into the hallway, and I mean, it was just, everything was shaking. We most likely have a lot of water damage. Most of the roof's gone. We had a whole building right here. Our barn is completely collapsed and on Facebook. It landed on our big boat. We had a large boat that we took offshore, and that fell on that. So, yeah, we have quite a bit of damage. I mean, yeah, I'm glad everyone's safe. I mean, my cat's still missing, but, I mean, still looking for our cat. It was outside when it happened.
There you hear. So, we hear these stories so much in these weather events, pets that go missing, damage. And I guess the thing to remember here is people are just getting back on their feet from Ida. You heard Troy and Nakian talking about the fact that I just finished some repairs on my home. I had the gutters ready to be installed, and boom, they get hit again. So certainly, I agree with the sheriff on the last segment. Volunteer fire departments don't get enough credit for what they do in these emergency situations. They do a fantastic job, so we appreciate what they do. We appreciate what law enforcement does, and we appreciate the witnesses that talk to our camera crews and tell us what they saw and what they heard. You heard Benson talking about the pressure drop, the ears popping, and that's indicative of a tornado. Whether it's a small one, medium size, by all looks of this one, it was probably a very small one, but nonetheless, still a tornado. So once again, we'll try to keep you updated on anything that that develops, and appreciate our crew again for working late and getting all that done, and appreciate you for tuning in. We'll take a break. We'll be back with a lot more. Don't go away.